why sustainability often becomes operationally difficult, how you'd audit a company's sustainability stack.
Most of the standard bodies they don't really know the power of how much information they've already collected.
No tool is going to come in and make a difference in your environment because you have foundational gaps.
But when you talk about organizations that have portfolios spanning the globe, then there are tens of thousands of projects, and everybody has a different way of working. Everybody has a different way of gathering that data.
We as technology organizations are able to come in and play at that level to enable that action.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm Taryn Hristova, your host today, and we're going to talk about why sustainability often becomes operationally difficult for companies to deliver on and what organizations can do as the industry moves into its next phase. We're going to get into the real systems and technology challenges that are shaping how sustainability works in practice. So joining me today are Shekhar Chikara, CEO of Syscore. Syscore builds innovative software solutions that help businesses reduce their environmental impact and promote sustainable growth. And Dhruv Gami, founder of Standardly, which is the only all-in-one platform for mission-driven standards. Standardly centralizes everything so that standards organizations and practitioners can run their programs clearly, consistently, and at scale. Both of you have spent years building systems behind programs like LEAD, WELL, Green Seal, and other frameworks. And when you look at the sustainability industry today, what do you think most people still misunderstand about what it actually takes to make programs like these work at scale from a technology perspective?
So I will be able to answer this question from the world that I understand the best, which is certification organizations themselves. And these are the bodies that own and run these standards most of the time. So honestly, from my perspective, I think there's a lot of work that goes into defining the standard itself. And most of the times, the organizations that are focusing on what good looks like in terms of the language, the requirements, how to make sure that it's doing good for the environment, because these are sustainability standards. In my mind, and this is purely from a technology perspective, that's the easy part. The hard part is understanding everything underneath it. And it comes down to two things. One is that a certification isn't a document, it's a living data set. The standard has to be built as something which is like a platform can take and digest and could scale up so that customers can interact with that standard in a way that's easy to understand and easy to grasp. Second, in my mind, is the data quality at scale, which is brutal. Like a single project and giving you data in a specific format is easy, but when you talk about organizations that have portfolios spanning the globe, then there are tens of thousands of projects, and everybody has a different way of working. Everybody has a different way of gathering that data. So how do you get it in a place where all of those projects are providing you clean, trustworthy data in a consistent fashion?
That's super important, Shekhar. Thank you. And so when I think of typical sustainability organizations, these are when I think of that, I think of the world of nonprofits that are really focused on pushing that mission of sustainability and driving the change towards sustainable practices. And so they have a lot of work that needs to be done when they're working in that sector. A lot of it has to do with just plain pure education, letting people understand what is it that needs to be done and why it needs to be done, because of the impact they can create with that. There's a lot of engagement that needs to be created where people just need to talk to each other and understand the kind of strategies that one team is using and how that could help a different team, and sort of learn from each other. That engagement is super helpful. But then also, and the bigger role that these organizations play is being an enabler for those outcomes. How do we remove the barriers? How do we remove those excuses to I will not do this, or I cannot do this because it's too expensive, or it's too much time consuming, or the process is way too complex. All these different reasons come up for not doing the right thing and just taking a shortcut. And that's really where I feel we as technology organizations are able to come in and play at that level to enable that action, so that these excuses, these barriers are removed, and there is there's an engagement aspect to it. The platform that Shekhar was talking about, that platform becomes the central place where people come in and they can centralize their data, they can centralize their actions, the activities, those strategies that they're using. All of it is in one place, which then removes that friction from taking the information, packaging it for depicting whatever kind of achievements and outcomes you're able to create, and then getting the recognition for that. But right now, those are such spread out and distributed processes that none of these organizations are able to take the information that's already been received and then apply that at scale. And that's really where we get stuck, where things get done, but they get done for one building at a time, one green product at a time, but not for the whole portfolio, because doing it for the whole portfolio means that you have to replicate that process 100, 500 times. And it's not just a click of a button to say, apply this to everything.
Another question for you both. As you're kind of working with different companies, walk me through and walk all of us through how you'd audit a company's sustainability stack. What are you looking for when you first go in there?
What I like to have a conversation with when I engage with any of these organizations is really start with the leadership, start with the mission of the organization. What is it like? Why do they exist? Just getting that clarity is super helpful in setting context for any conversation that we have going past that point. Like the reason for existence needs to be front and center. They have to create certain outcomes for them to continue in the market, and those outcomes, they become the drivers for the actions that the organization takes, that the team takes to engage with their stakeholders and their users and people who are actually working with them. And so understanding those forces that are at play, like what is it that's driving your revenue, where does your how does your mission get funded, those pieces are super relevant, because like without getting that sense, it's hard for us to understand how to pull the levers in maximizing how we can get more and more revenue into the organization and then use those resources to fund the impact that they want to create. So starting with what's coming in becomes an important conversation. Now, once we have that conversation and we understand this is where focus needs to be, then I start looking at, okay, how are you doing those things today? Let's talk through what are the processes in place, what are the kind of teams, and how do those teams interact with each other, what is the flow of information through those different channels, and then determine if there are efficiencies already in there, or if there are opportunities for those efficiencies to be brought in, which would then maximize the impact of the resources that are being allocated to those processes and to those teams. And then there are maybe certain things that the teams are trying to do or they intend to do, but they just don't have the right resources, the teams, the skills, the knowledge. There's just so many things that are potential gaps. Identifying those makes it easier for the conversation to go back to the leadership and say, you're thinking about just throwing one more technology tool at this, but before you do that, let's fix these 5 more things, without which no tool is going to come in and make a difference in your environment, because you have foundational gaps that need to first be addressed. And those foundational gaps could just be a process, like an SOP or a standard operating procedure is missing, that it's just never been defined. And so each team member is just operating in a different way. And no tool is going to come and fix that for you until you take the time to actually define what your SOP is, and then find the best tool that will configure to work with that kind of an SOP. So that's really where, getting through that whole conversation from one end to the other is what helps me provide a better guidance, advisory, opportunity back to the organizations to say, we can help. And these conversations need not necessarily be just about Standardly and the platform and the way we do things on our platform. There is just a lot more experience that we can bring in even without using the platform. There is so much that can be done where the team has the experience to come in and help out without using our platform. But if you want to accelerate things, absolutely, we can help you get into the platform and really pick it up without having to do that groundwork that we've spent months building out the technology for, so that you don't have to.
I would just add in, again, it sort of ties back to my original earlier response to the first question, And that is like, from my perspective, it always somehow the standard in my mind is a foundational layer to everything. Like most of the problems that an organization would be facing when we audit would be centered around how they are referencing their standard at different stages. So some of it ties back to like, hey, the standard is not available in a format where the customer could easily separate out and understand the requirements that are relevant to them, so they don't fully comprehend that what is it that they have to provide as evidence. So the quality of that submission is lower because the information was not given to them at the right time, or the onboarding process was pretty complicated and the user was not able to fully understand like how to navigate through the different steps. And then on the other side, on the flip side of that, are the reviewers who are sitting within these certification bodies, and their work becomes similarly more difficult because of the fact that, number one, they're not getting the right information at the right time. Number two, those information or those documents or the evidence, like we call it in the standards world, that evidence is coming to them in a format that's not easy for them to navigate through. And then once they have the evidence, they have to reference it against a standard that's potentially maybe available in a PDF format. Again, not very user friendly. So in my mind, when we are doing the audit, my first question is, and most of the times this is the one that nobody expects, and it's like, how is your standard structured? And I'm not saying the content of it. That part usually all standard organizations have nailed. I truly mean the structure, as in like whether it lives in a PDF or do you have it in a website? Does it have like options available for users to be able to like filter based on different kinds of submissions that could come in, or different kinds of attributes? In the built environment, it's like, what kind of a building do you have? Is it residential? Is it a retail space, or any other kind of space? And based on that, the requirements do differ within the same standard. So if we think of an example of on how it would be in the older world, it would be like, I would take that PDF, print it out, and then I would take a highlighter and start to highlight the relevant sections, that, okay, this is what's relevant to me. And that part needs to be much easier, especially with the technology that's available these days. And that's why I'm saying like standard is that foundation. It helps the users navigate the requirements of these standards in a way which is easier for them. It bubbles up the right information at the right time, that, hey, for XYZ, you need to do this. For this specific requirement, you need to do this. And then on the other side, once users have completed their steps, for the reviewers also, it's super important for them to understand what was it that the user was trying to do, and for what specific thing are they receiving a specific document. So it's a lot of nuanced information or different kinds of like data attributes that we need to capture at that scale. And then once that entire process is completed, then we can talk about like the next level, which is more about what data are you capturing at these stages? What sort of insights can you provide to your customers based on the information that you've already gathered? How can you slice and dice that info in a way which is easier for users to understand? So that could be like the and for me, that is one of the gold mines within this space, where this data that most of the standard bodies have, they don't really know the power of how much information they've already collected about these organizations. Especially in the built environment, these standards have a lot of information that is being captured during that submission and certification process. So for me, during the audit, those are two things. One, how's your standard structured, and how's your data flowing through the system? What are you capturing, and what you could potentially be capturing to make that process easier?
Super important. And you're so right about the data and not knowing. There's so much data, and unless you are familiar and kind of like can put it all together, like you just wouldn't know what you're actually sitting on and what you can do with it and build with it. And just want to invite any listeners to put their questions and comments below, and we'll get back to them. Thank you so much.